welcome back to the Tech Coaches Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Fer, and with me is the guy that has recovery codes for his recovery codes, Bill.
Yeah, I don't want to be locked out of any system. Do you?
And that's why the topic for today's episode is so important. And the topic is account recovery, or as I like to call it, what do I do when I get locked out of my account? I don't remember my password. I use my old email I haven't used in years, and my phone number is not even the same anymore.
Yes. So if you're lucky, getting locked out of your account is just, I forgot my password, you reset it, and it's good. However, we see more and more people getting completely locked out of systems, and they don't have like a corporate IT team to help them out, because if you're a person, you don't have a corporate IT team unless you're lucky enough to have a friend or a relative who can help you with that. But even then, if you didn't set it up right, they're not going to be able to help you. So keep in mind, it's not if, but when these things happen.
And if you're thinking, this will never happen to me, these things, like I always have the best memory, I will say, think again, because you will normally think that these are tech things for really savvy people, but it's not that way. This can happen to anyone, and even more if you don't have a plan. And let me tell you, good luck trying to make a computer understand that it's you.
Yes. So we've got everything digital now. We all know, as I mentioned, it's becoming more and more digital. Here's a question that I can ask you is, do you know, how many phone numbers do you know of people you talk to every week? Yeah, a couple, probably 3 or 4 that they've had forever. Yeah. So if you think about, who do I talk to? Who do I message? How do I get my work done? Everything's digital now. Okay. So we're going to have to get into a system to access that info.
Let's talk about why it is really important for people to know a bit more about account recovery.
Yeah. So it's simple. Our lives are digital. Bank accounts, photos, you name it. It's all digital. So almost everything we have now is behind some kind of login screen, or if you think it's not, it is, you just haven't had to log in for a long time. So everything is behind a login screen, which uses an email or a phone number or some combination password. And if you're smart, multi-factor authentication.
And don't even get me started of how everything is connected. Like
Yes.
I've been noticing that if I don't have my phone or my account, I'm not able to get into my bank or my pictures. For me, the pictures are some of the most important things.
So if you lose all that, you're in trouble.
Right. And people always think that is not going to happen to me. I'll just reset my password if I get locked out. But what happens if your recovery email is an old one that you never use? Or if your phone number is an old one you don't have anymore? How are you going to show the computer or whatever is asking you to verify that you are the person that is trying to recover it?
Yeah, you're stuck in kind of a digital purgatory. People can lose access to years of photos, phone numbers, how to contact people, important documents, and even businesses can be stuck and get shut down, or at least temporarily shut down, if they lose access to their key systems.
What?
Yeah.
People has lost businesses?
Yes. So if you're a small business owner, you can't access your payment processor for like credit card payments or other payments, your website, your customer database, all of it because you lost access to the single email that controls access to it all.
That is really terrifying. And thinking about it, that is not only businesses, like normal people, it's so scary.
Yeah. So I've got a client that lost access to about 10 years of family photos stored in the cloud. Another one who could not restore their banking for a few weeks. Luckily, the bank was local, so they could get it restored. But the emotional and financial toll, it can be enormous. And so that's why we want to educate you a little bit about preparing for something like this.
Okay, I'm officially scared right now. This is more serious than I thought. Now, let's go to my favorite part, which is the Hall of Shame. Here are some of the worst mistakes people have done to get locked out of their accounts.
Yeah, and by all means, this is not an exhaustive list. These are just a couple of examples. So one that is super simple is just not updating your contact information. So the email address that you used back when you were in college or when you were 18 years old, the phone number from 3 carriers ago, when you very first set up your Facebook account or your LinkedIn, it's not going to help you when you're locked out.
Guilty as charged. I still have my own Hotmail that I haven't logged in since middle school as one of my recovery accounts.
Can you log into it?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. So this is a to-do thing for Fernanda. Okay, so she's got to fix this right after the podcast. Now, if you are also doing, whether you have a password manager or not, and as everybody watching this knows, we are big believers in having a password manager. If you are using one of those, and number one rule, don't use truthful answers on some of those. But if you don't use a password manager, when you answer security questions, sometimes you might forget the answers to those security questions, like what was the first car I drove or something like that. So if you chose something fake, like we recommend that people do, so you don't actually use your first pet's real name, if you don't have a system like a password manager to put it in, you're not going to remember that 6 months from now. So if your first pet was a cat named Bluey and you put in a golden retriever named Tom and you don't have a password manager, you're not going to remember it was a golden retriever named Tom, right?
Okay.
So you can't recover the account.
So technically you're saying I shouldn't tell the truth,
Correct.
but I need to make it memorable or write it down on my password manager.
Yeah.
That way we can keep it.
So the ideal to-do item is use the password manager, a unique password naturally, and then if there are security questions or other things like that, you record all of those, every security question and the answer that is not something someone could look up or think it's something else, because we all know we can look up mother's maiden names, birth dates, and other things like that.
So my strategy to use my pet's name is not the best?
Probably not. No, we're not going to use that one. And as a side note, one thing to keep in mind is you might not be the first person getting hacked. So let's take your Instagram account. Is it public?
You don't need to know.
Okay, so let's pretend it's not public, it's private. But one of your friends gets hacked. And then at that point, someone could impersonate your friend.
And they can see my account.
And could see your account, see your pet, your real pet, see what type of pet, what the pet's name was, etc. So keep in mind, you might be the second, third, fourth, etc. in a hacking event where people try to get access to another person's identity.
I have to say I feel just a little bit attacked.
Okay. Well, this next one, it's a little different. It's ignoring these account verification prompts. We all get emails about this where, hey, let's do a Google security account review or a privacy review. So you're going to get those. They come from the platform, and ignoring those is something that I do not recommend that you do. You do need to follow that. There are some specific ways to do it, which we will talk about.
I mean, but those emails and those things come at the worst times. Something I have to say is sometimes I need to like download a homework or like a presentation for work, and that appears and I'm not able to do anything. So I just need to skip it to be able to do the things I need to do. So that's why sometimes I pass them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people just do it too.
There are a lot of people, and what they do is just like their computer updates, they ignore them. They don't do them. So my suggestion is when you get a prompt to do that, you either drag that email into a to-do item or into a calendar appointment, or if you follow our plan, you'll review these things once or twice per year. So when you get that reminder, all you got to do is delete it because you've already got it set up in your calendar for the third Tuesday in June. I'm going to spend an hour and I'm going to review all of this information.
Okay. Okay, so the next one would be using the same recovery email for everything. I don't know if you're one of those people that only have like one or two emails, but using that one for every single account to be as your recovery email is a big no.
Yes. You need to have a separate account to do recovery. Now, this generally does not apply to businesses. This would mainly apply only to people out there with their private personal emails. So you need to have your primary email that you communicate everyone. So this is my Gmail account, it's my main Gmail. This is what I do with everybody. But my backup account, to use the account recovery options, would be something that I don't use except for that recovery email. That's it.
The next one would be relying solely on biometrics.
Yes. Yeah. So if you've got the fingerprint, you've got the face ID, you've got face recognition, whatever it might be, those things can fail at times, whether it's a sensor or a stolen device. That's another one where they could become a big issue. And then you're locked out of a number of things until you get a replacement device and can go through a recovery process to, like you said earlier, validate it's really you before anybody gives you access to those things.
And I mean, not to get too gruesome, but what if someone cuts your finger or you're sleeping with the eyes wide open and
Yes.
people are able to access your accounts that way?
Well, that can happen, and we actually have someone who watches us on this video, or on these videos, I should say, who cannot have fingerprints taken. So those biometrics don't work, at least the fingerprints one.
The next one would be not writing down recovery codes.
Yes, this one's great. So when you set up multi-factor authentication, and we all know that you should have it. So you've got your username, which is generally your email. You've got your password, and you're setting up multi-factor authentication. It will give you a set of recovery codes. Those recovery codes, two things. Number one, should not be stored in your password manager. And number two, you do need to store them in another encrypted system. So don't put them in a text file or a Word document or an Excel file called Google account recovery codes and just sit them on your computer. That would be a little crazy, because that's just like, oh, wow, this is exactly what I need to look for if I'm a hacker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a completely different system, and I'm going to make sure that it's protected. But don't skip that part, because a lot of these systems, unfortunately, make it really easy to skip recording those backup codes.
I mean, I always think I'll remember where I'm putting this, but I'm a forgetful person.
Yeah. So here's what you do. Just a real quick tip. You've got your main password manager, and then you've got a password manager with a different vault. We'll get into that in a future video, but that is the idea, and it will be part of this digital hygiene series that we're rolling out with. So you've got to have a system and not just good intentions.
Now let's dive into some real life horror stories about account recovery nightmares that could have been avoided with a little bit more preparation.
Yes. So I had a client, obviously using a fake name, Mark, traveling internationally for a business trip. The night before, big presentation, his iPhone just did one of the normal prompts for, hey, let's make sure you really are who you say you are. He rarely used it, did not remember his password, and so he got locked out of his iCloud account, okay? Now, when that happened, he was also locked out of his work email. He couldn't access it because it was on the locked phone. He didn't take a laptop or another device. His recovery number was his US number, and he didn't have an international plan. The final nail is he had his presentation that he was on the business trip for stored in the cloud. Again, completely inaccessible. So what he basically started to get really nervous, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do?
And what did he do?
So he had to call his wife at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and luckily she knew where an old iPad was and was able to get into it, could then log into the iCloud account, find that presentation, and send it to a colleague who was on the trip as well. But here's the cool part. They got back in, right? That's awesome. The bad part is the stress of going through all of that with no sleep and having to worry, you're waking your wife up at 3 o'clock in the morning, all of that really stressful and easily could have been avoided.
I mean, I just got stressed just from hearing about it. I think it's one of my worst nightmares having to go somewhere else to do a presentation and being locked out of my account, not having my presentation.
Yeah.
And not only that, he's lucky that he has a wife at home at 3 a.m. to be able to
That's exactly right.
help him. But what if he didn't?
Yeah, if he didn't, if he didn't, that would be a good story as well, because we would hear, hey, can I be one of your clients? That way we can help them out. Now, I've got a second story here. Small business owner again, fake name, Sarah. Sarah set her business up a few years ago, and she was using a separate email account. She chose to forward that email account to her new business account, which was her business domain name. Okay, so not a big deal. So she used a payment processor and a point of sale system, and she knew to log in with her Hotmail account to those systems, right? And then it forwarded all the information to her real work info. So one day she saw something that was a little suspicious, and so she went in and changed her main password, and she was like, okay, this is now changed. What she didn't realize is she set up all the auto forwarding, or I should say she forgot all of that auto forwarding to the new business and had forgotten about it. So then the person that actually attacked the account and got in was able to get all the password change emails, the confirmation, and then they were able to get into all these other systems, take over the payment processor, the website, the customer database, and more.
So technically, you're telling me that the biggest mistake she did was to change her password?
Well, there were other mistakes. I don't know if I would say that's the biggest one, but what she didn't do is she didn't check for these signs of the compromise, like these forwarding rules. And I know some of the people watching this have had that very same thing happen to them, and I've fixed them myself. So the hacker locked her out of everything and essentially charged a ransom, a different kind of ransom than ransomware, where it encrypts all the files, but essentially just said, I'll give you access to everything if you pay me $20,000 US.
And did she?
Well, she tried to. Well, in fact, she did. But after paying, then the hacker didn't give access to all of it. And then there's really no guarantee that the hacker's not in the system, because she didn't know how to scan it. So she needed to rebuild the business from scratch. She figured out, I can't trust all of this. I've got to rebuild it from scratch. So 5 years of a lot of work and history, logs, etc., all gone or extremely difficult to replace.
Wow. I mean, I think everyone can see it. I'm shocked. Like I even got chills thinking about it. Like that is horrifying. And the fact that imagine working so hard to start building a business,
Yes.
and you can lose it because just of a simple mistake.
Yes.
Wow.
That's why sometimes it's very difficult for us to help people understand just how valuable some of these processes and procedures are, no matter what size the business is. Now, my last story here it's a social media influencer. Now, we all know, no matter what your feelings are on these influencers, they can have a lot of money that they make. And this one had over 1 million followers. The account gets hacked. The social media influencer did have multi-factor authentication, but the hacker managed to change the recovery email and the phone number. So what happened then, and we'll get into the process of how that can happen in just a second, the platform that this influencer was on did not verify, or did not have any way to really verify the person's identity, because of all the verification codes. They were all gone. They had been changed. So all of the income that this influencer was making then doesn't necessarily get set on calls, but what happens is the viewers go down, and there are in those contracts a set number of views that something must see and a set number of followers that they must have. And so when they can't post and they can't promote, they start to lose money immediately.
I mean, the fact that she's losing income because of
Yes.
this, shocking.
Yeah. So what happens is, in one of those situations, especially when you have 1 million followers, you're going to have to provide a government ID, proof of identity through some old photos, and even get other people to vouch for them, what's typically called a trusted contact. So then the account was restored, and once the account's restored, some of the sponsorship deals had gone, and some of the followers had gone to other places and were not engaging as much, which is one of the biggest things in those contracts.
So technically, she did use multi-factor authentication.
Yes.
It still happened to her.
Yeah, so some people only use the text message multi-factor authentication, which you've heard us say before that we are not big believers in, that because of the spoofing that can happen. But even if multi-factor authentication is used with an authenticator, sometimes people can put up fake websites that look just like a social media platform, get the person's username, password, and then intercept that multi-factor authentication code, and then change it all within a matter of seconds.
Now that we have actually terrified everyone, let's talk a bit more about what we can do to avoid those things from happening to you.
Yes. So the first thing is we're going to audit and we're going to update the recovery methods. So think here preparation. So we want to write down a list of all of the systems that we log into. And it doesn't matter whether it's personal or professional. I would keep a separate list for them, obviously, but I would make sure that you've got email, banking, social media, cloud storage, your mortgage, whatever it might be. Write it all down first so that you can see, hey, how do I log into this system, to that system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you're going to do that. And then once you do, you're going to go to each one of those sites and verify what your account recovery process is like. And keep in mind, these things do change. So we recommend that you do this at least once a year, but more than likely twice.
And technically, it will be to make sure that not only the information, but the processes you do are current.
Yes. So we don't want to use that old Hotmail account.
Or that ex-boyfriend's number. Or
Yeah, exactly. So all of those things are done. And then if this is the very first time that you do it, it's a great opportunity to set up a password manager, go in, put your username, your unique password, which would be new, your multi-factor authentication, and then the answers to those security codes and any other information like trusted accounts, et cetera, et cetera. That would be a great time to do it if it's your first time. It will take a little bit longer, but it's a great practice to start. And then the second time you do it, whether it's twice a year or whether it's in the second year, it becomes a much, much faster process.
Step 2 will be to create a break glass document,
Yes.
which I don't think I understand what we mean with break glass document.
All right, now here's another metaphor that's very similar. There is a fire, and what do we see in front of a fire extinguisher, fire hose? We see a sign that says break glass in case of fire. So what this is in an emergency, when you need to be able to get into something, you break that glass. So this account has the recovery information, or I shouldn't say the account, the document, whether it be the password manager, and honestly, it could be a piece of paper stored securely, of course, or it could be another document that is encrypted, and it has all the backup email information, the phone numbers, the recovery code, security question answers, anything you need if you were completely locked out.
But isn't it super risky to write everything down?
Well, it's not if you do it correctly. So if you do it correctly, and we're going to have another session on password management, but if you do it correctly here in brief, you have encrypted notes, a physical document in a safe, you split the information in multiple secure locations or with multiple people. The key is having something to fall back on in the event that disaster strikes and things fail.
Step 3, implement a tiered recovery system.
Yes. So if you have only one backup and that backup's gone, this is what I love. I love when people tell me, oh, I have an external USB. I back up everything to it. So when their house burns up, so does their backup system. So what I say is we have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary backup for not only the systems and your data files, but also these recovery methods. So it's good to have them in more than one physical location.
So it will be like using my main account, my recovery account,
Yes.
my phone number, and also using multi-factor authentication.
Yes, and you just need to make sure it's independent of each other. And sometimes that can be a little tricky with the multi-factor. There are ways to set that up, but it is definitely possible. Just make sure that your backup email does not require your primary email to recover it. That is a circular activity, and we don't want to do that because if somebody gets access to one, they can then reset the other.
That makes sense. Something I think about is like having multiple emergency escapes routes
Yes.
for a building that is on fire.
Yeah, you don't want just one fire escape that 450 people try to go down at the same time. All right.
Step 4 would be use a password manager with emergency access.
Yes. So your password manager, and it will depend on which one you use, it should have access or the ability for you to put in trusted contacts. So in the event that you are locked out of your system, then a trusted contact can verify you are who you say you are and that you can get into that system.
So it would be like if I get locked out, they could call my mom and ask her to verify that it's me.
Yes. And ideally, you set the terms. Who is the person? How are they to be contacted? Under what conditions? And if there's a waiting period, because if you want to kind of be funny about this, if your spouse was your recovery contact, but you had a big life insurance policy, maybe they want to impersonate you. Who knows?
I mean, now that I think about it, that is really smart. Not about the spouse.
Right.
I mean the trusted contact, but what I keep thinking is those TikTok videos about this is my trusted contact.
Yes, don't ever put your trusted contact on there. That's like taking a picture of your airline ticket. People don't know what's contained on their airline ticket. Do not ever share who your trusted contact is.
And the step 5 would be test your recovery methods periodically.
Yes. So if you do this, and we highly recommend it because lots and lots of people have found out over the past few years where they work that the IT team thought they had backups. They just never tested them. So this is like you doing the same thing, but it's for your personal accounts. So once you've got the recovery system in place, you've got your backup email, you've got your recovery codes, everything, do that once per year. And some of them you can test it without actually using them up or using up the recovery codes. Some others you will have to reset those recovery codes. But again, that's not going to hurt anything. It's going to be something that's very easy to do. They're generally little wizards that walk you through the whole thing. Very easy to do, and I suggest doing it at least once per year.
So basically, it will be like doing a fire drill, but for your digital life.
Exactly. You're going to do that, again, at least once a year. Or if there is some circumstance that changes, such as you change your phone number, you change your email. And when one of those events occurs, that's when you need to go into your password manager, if you've got it. If you don't have it, to all of the systems and go verify that those recovery methods are updated with the new information, the new phone number, the new email, etc.
And now we have some special considerations for different account types.
Yes. So for email, I like 3 recovery methods for the email, and some email systems allow this, some don't. This is mainly for people at home because if it's in business, they're going to have account recovery methods set up with the IT team if the IT team does their job correctly. If not, then I would suggest you use all of those options available at Gmail, at Microsoft, wherever you may have your accounts. But have it not only in each system, but you might want to consider having the backup at a different provider in total.
Okay.
Yeah. For financial accounts, understand how they do it. In fact, if you haven't done it, I would contact your bank by calling the number on their website or go to the bank, etc., and say, hey, how can I secure my account? Now, some banks will proactively send out messages like this, but you may wonder whether that's correct or not. What I would encourage you to do is ask the bank, whether it's on the phone by calling their customer service, or you go on their website and you learn how to secure the account. Social media, because these things change all the time, I would encourage you to check that one at least twice a year because they change quite often. And then make sure you update your trusted contacts, and because sometimes trusted contacts change.
Yeah.
And make sure that all of that is still valid. For work accounts, again, most of the time you as an employee of a company won't need to do that. My main recommendation related to work accounts is that you take some time at some point in the year and verify that your personal information is not in any work account. Like your OneDrive for work, your SharePoint for work, let's say you use Outlook for email or you use Google Workspace, that none of those things have any of your personal information. That should be completely separate because you don't want to go to your employer 2 years after you change your job and ask if they can restore your data, because they're going to say no.
We remember someone that did that.
Yes, yes, exactly. All right, and then finally, for the cloud storage, Dropbox, Google Drive, lots of these. If you lose access temporarily, my recommendation is you keep a copy locally. Lots of these services give you an option to do that. Some of you don't back up to a third-party physical device, though. I would encourage you to do that. That way you don't have to worry about account recovery as much for things like that.
I have to say that is a lot of information to keep a track of, but that's why we're here.
Yes.
To save this video.
Yeah, I was going to say save this and do it because it's better to be prepared. Go through the activities. If you think about it, a policeman, a firefighter, he or she goes through all of these drills and all of these trainings so that when an actual event occurs, it's much lower stress. They know exactly what to do. So if you get in the habit of doing this and you follow our digital hygiene calendar and just say, okay, here's when I'm going to do this. Once per year, I'm going to check my account recovery options. Way less stress than when it happens and you don't know whether you've done it or not, or you don't know whether it's accurate.
All right, Bill. If you could leave with just one piece of advice for everyone who is watching,
yep,
in how to keep themselves safe and have like the best plan for account recovery, what would you say?
Well, be proactive. And here's why. If I purchase a home, I'm not going to wait until a fire to try to buy fire insurance, right? So what I want to do, just like I mentioned before, the policemen and the firefighters, they drill so that when the emergency happens, they're not freaked out, they're not stressed. What we want to do is we want to keep the emotional drama really low. We want to make it easy. So be prepared, be proactive, do the account recovery work ahead of time. Even though it might seem a little boring, it's going to make your life so much simpler in the future. And anybody else that you need to share this information with can also access it if they need to, because we do have some people who are elderly or who might pass away and they need to have their executor or their heirs be able to access those accounts as well. It's a real life consideration that's becoming more and more popular as our population is aging.
That's solid advice now that I think about it. I think my major takeaway from this episode is that it's not only a tech thing, it's everyone's. Like being locked out of your account doesn't only mean like not accessing your email or not accessing certain information. It's also your bank, your personal information if you have it saved on any of these accounts. And also, for me, that it would be the saddest would be the pictures and videos you have, like all those memories, which will make me the saddest because I have like thousands on my phone.
But now, after we finish recording this, I'm going to ask you to dial 4 of your friends' phone numbers without using their name in your phone. And we'll see if that works. Okay. So this is a proactive part of our digital hygiene series. We're going to do more and more of this. So each month we're going to have one activity that you can take. So thank you very much. Fer's going to tell you what to do to make sure you are made aware of all of this. But thank you very much for spending time with us here today.
So that is it for today's video. If you learned something new, hit the subscribe button, like. You can even leave us a comment about what you think on the plans we gave you, or if you want a certain topic for us to talk about in one of the next episodes, you can also leave it below. and share with everyone you know.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a key part. Share this with people that you think might need to know this, because there are a lot of folks that contact us and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I just heard this story about my friend lost XYZ." Forward this on. We're making this so that we help as many people as we possibly can.
And most importantly, do all that we just told you in the video. Like you
Yes.
can even pause it right now. We can wait for you, but go and check all your accounts, all your plans, and make sure you keep your information protected.
Yes. Thanks for joining us today.
Until next time,
All right,
stay
bye-bye.
secure and prepared.
Yes.